Hey guys, today is March the 26th of 2022. I wanted to go over Cameco because there's some interesting things developing, and I wanted to make my subscribers aware of the things I'm noticing. First off, we're going to start off with the Gann monthly waves. As you can see, we were kind of confused if it was going to go lower, uh, 3 waves down, but it looks like it's has done 3 waves up. And once this month ends, the next month will be July. Will take us to the 7-4. Another question is, in April, are we going to turn down and do 4 waves to complete 7, or are we going to go up into July? So we'll see. There's a lot of things I'm going to show you that, may play out, may not play out, but either way, we're all dealing with probability. So that's the first thing. We're going to continue going up, or we're going to retrace and do a correction and then resume the trend. Okay, so this chart right here is a seasonality chart of CCJ, and I got 5 years. You can see that March typically is normally very toppy, and then April, then May, June, July. We expand this to 10 years. You see that March is still toppy. It's percent of months in which CCJ closed higher than it opened from 2013 to 2022. And you can see that July and June are the weakest month. We had a good run. We took out the November 8th high, 28.49. We're like 30 and 49 around there. And we're in the month of March. Once we close, if we could continue pushing higher, then the seasonalities could be void, and Cameco is doing, price discovery, new thing, new trend, But if the seasonalities kick in, and we don't know what can make it kick in, but whatever happens, there's a change in sentiment or whatever, even though, everybody's bullish. But if that does kick in and something changes and it pushes lower, we have to just be cautious, because this is what has happened in the past. Can it change? Yes. But we need at least some kind of template to go by. And this is where I would recommend just to be cautious just a little bit. As long as we don't close below 28.49 of the November 8th high, I think we should be good. But if we sometime next week or into April, we are below 28.49, just remember this chart, the seasonality. Because if it starts making lower highs and lower lows, this could be one of the reasons, maybe of many, that it's starting to trend lower, and then everybody gets surprised and shocked. What happened? We're supposed to be going higher. But if you don't look at your seasonalities, and like I said, if they play out, most of the times they don't play out, but sometimes they do. So this is the question mark. If it does, this is what you want to keep your eye on. We go into 20 years out, and you see that it's kind of flat. I think that's the max here. You do 15. Look closely between 10 and 5. That's what you get. Hey guys, so here is the weekly chart of Cameco using some cycle analysis. And there's 2 important cycles here. One is the 191. And you can see that it topped out. It found the peak on October 25th. And it's projecting lower. While Cameco, it's going higher. The next one is the 148, which is peaked out on October 4th. They're kind of close, bottoms out. Do a composite, and this is probably the closest you could get. If you add the 80, which is the dominant cycle, it doesn't make a difference. It may make a little difference, but you're dealing with weekly. But the weekly cycles are pointing down, so that is concerning. But Cameco is still chugging along, going higher, so maybe it's ignoring the cycles. But just be aware that the cycles are down while Cameco is going up. Okay, here we have the daily chart, and the strong cycle here is the 165. You can see that it's bottomed out here on March, first week of March, which is the trough, and we hit a peak somewhere around May. The last week of May, we hit a peak. That's the 165. The dominant cycle is the 53, which is a smaller cycle. And we peak out somewhere around March 26. which is this week coming up. We peak out and then we bottom out. We hit a trough on April 22nd, and then we go all the way back up on May 20th. So the strongest cycle is 165, which is bullish. The dominant cycle is 53. You do a composite, so it kind of shows that there's a pullback coming in, around the April. Retraces somewhere second week of April, and then it continues the trend higher on the daily cycle chart. Okay, going into our Fib grid chart, you can see that there's a Fib grid level, which is 30.73. We never got up there. It's a 30.49 as high as we went, so it was kind of close. Your support will be this 28.04. Pretty much this pivot high, $28.48 to $28. That's your Fib grid level. And support 23.70. If we're going to push higher, then you got a target of 35, which lines up with all the guys going on CNBC and other targets there for 35. So if we push higher next week or towards the end of the month or into the next 4 months, that's it. That's a really realistic target of 35. And I think that's where the Fib grid ends. I did a video yesterday on my simple glance chart. We could probably go over it real quick. Pretty much on the weekly, I had to go back 20 years to get the value area high, which was 34, 33 around there, 34.04. So that's the value area high. The point of control is that 21.29. And you can see that we're still chugging along. That's the November 8 high, and we're still floating around. You guys know that sometimes I fluctuate between the Heikin-Ashi, and then when you look at it, there's a lot of selling pressure right up here. But that's early. We got to see what next week's brings. And the volume has been pretty good to the upside, so that's good. The MACD still positive above all the moving averages, so you're still good. I mean, it could push higher and maybe go as high as 35, as a lot of people are saying. So that's good. On the daily, you can see that on the daily is interesting. We have a crossover of the MACD. You can see that these last couple of days have been a little on the weaker side, just kind of sideways, consolidating. And if we look really close, I don't know if you guys remember my last video on the simple glance. When you start seeing them really tiny like that in the Heikin-Ashi, something's about to happen. It's like very quiet. So we're either going to explode to the upside next week, or there's going to be a turning point, and we're going to just, for whatever reason that it is, I don't know what it's going to be, it's going to turn and sell. Or it could just go sideways, either or. Another thing that's important, that March 23, using some of Gann's technique, is a very interesting date and that high. So I'm not going to really elaborate on that. But whatever happens, this is an interesting date with that high and this. So you got the March equinox, change of season, the 21st, and then you got this 23rd. If we don't take out that high next week, it has a potential to turn lower. So there's a lot of stuff lining up for next week. So next week is going to be very key. This targets I have from way back. I've had targets between 30.65 and 28.65, and we already hit them. Now we're going to continue pushing higher. I have a target here of 35. And we already hit an important date here, which is the 24th. And there's another important date coming up, April 27th. And also April 20th, which is a square out of the March 18, 2020 low, if we continue pushing higher. And there's a wave 5 up here of $38. So 38, 35, 34, 35, and this is the target that we just hit now. And looking at the Elliott, which I'm not a professional, but I use the software to help me. That's indicating wave 5 here. This is wave 4, and now this is a wave 5. I thought this was a wave 5, and it turned out to be an ABC correction, even though the software doesn't show it. But this is a wave 5 that it's calculating. So we'll see. You can see that the stochastics are a little toppy here, kind of like it happened here. Then it turned down. This is where we're at right now. So these are the targets to the upside. If we continue pushing higher next week, I would be cautious. I wouldn't jump in short or long until Monday and Tuesday. Those are the two important days. You got an ellipse technique that I've tweeted on my Twitter page, and this right here, the 28th. That's where that ellipse technique come from, right there. So there could be a massive move, and I'll give it a wiggle room between Monday and Tuesday. So if nothing happens Monday, possibly could happen Tuesday. So we'll see what the direction is. It's very mixed. I showed you all the things that are bullish and are bearish. Weeklies are down, cycles. Daily is up. Seasonality, Cameco is toppy. And the bullish sentiment is that we're going to probably hit 35 option play. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff happening, and we're already here at some resistance. We take these lines out and we put some Fibonacci's. You can see there's a 50% level right here at 30.65. We almost kissed it. This extension here of Fibonacci gives you this 100%, which is $31. And then you go higher is the 61.8, which is at 36. That's another possible target. With the wave 5 up here and the $39, 1.618. So that's another level to the upside. So I'm giving you bullish scenarios and bullish price targets and price action. And then you got this big picture Fibonacci, which is the 50%, 28.99. I think this is from the high, the all-time high to the low of March. This is at 58. This is the 50%. So this is a center of gravity. So this is where we at, smack in the middle between that range, which is pretty much this right here. From that all-time high of $56 to that $5.30, the 50% is right here, and that's where we at, smack in the middle. Eventually, Cameco was going to return to the center of gravity. Now the key is, now that we're at center of gravity, what happens? Are we going to go higher? That's center of gravity right here. Word on the street is that we're going to go higher, but there's a lot of stuff going on here that could possibly say that could stall here, retrace, and then retest this, and then push through. So those are my thoughts. That's what I kind of see. Hopefully this helps you out, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on Cameco using Gann price and time technical analysis.